Hey y'all, it's Hope here at Crafty Hope, and I am continuing to share my index card today, or ICAD, from Daisy Yellow. The information about ICAD is below in the description box. The challenge has ended, but you're welcome to go and see her prompts and use them. I don't think she'd have a problem at all with that. So basically, you take an index card and alter it. You are free to use the prompts she provides or the themes that she also provides, or you can just go your own route. The challenge is to create an index card every day for 61 days. That ran through June and July of 2019. And the challenge is over, like I said, but I am still showing y'all what I did. So I am showing y'all cards 40, 41, and 42 in this video. And the prompt for this first one, which is card 40, is blueprint. Now, I am lucky enough that I had in my stash an actual blueprint. I, a long time ago, scored a nice big box of ephemera and it seemed like it was one family with a construction company somewhere in Alabama. I'm not real sure. And they're part of the construction company. There was a blueprint or two in there, so I went and searched in and found at least part of one of them. And I slapped that down straight onto my 4x6 index card, and with just a little bit of Uhu glue stick, and then I took a little bit of gesso and a brayer and just brayered the outside of that card, just kind of framing it a little. And there I've got some, what is that, distress spray from Tim Holtz, and I cannot think of the color. Maybe peeled paint, I'm not positive. But I am putting that just a little bit on the outside, trying to cover up that gesso. I wanted to give some texture there, but I didn't really want it to be completely white. Now before that, I did add a couple lines to it with a white watercolor pencil, but those don't really come through in the end. That was just a little something in the background. And here on top of the distress spray, I'm adding a dilution spray, and I can't even begin to tell you what color that is. I'm sorry, but it's a blue, and it kind of took up the color from the other spray a lot. It was very bright there. But I was really happy that I actually had a blueprint for this prompt. So, and I wasn't real sure what to do from that point. So I had this little key off to the side. I've tried to bring it into other cards in this series and it didn't work. And I thought maybe it'd go in this one. So I put it up there on the side. And I grabbed those quotes from Tim Holtz. I can't remember what they're called, but I grabbed those, and instead of that other key, I had this sticker sheet I've had, I don't even know, ages upon ages, and it had more of a realistic skeleton-like key on it, so I put that down and added a little bit of my Stabilo all pencil in black around it and the quote, and I'm just highlighting that, making that Stabilo give a little depth and shadow to those two things. And that was it for this card. Super quick and easy. Card 41 in this series had the prompt of card catalog. Now I searched and searched my stash and could not find a card from a card catalog. I've not looked up and been able to find any of those. I'm sure they're available on eBay or something like that. But I did find one of the return date stamps from the back of a library book in my stash. So I thought, well, that's close enough. I'll go ahead and use that and kind of just go with the library theme. So I kind of measured out where that date return piece was going to go and marked it with just a pencil, and then collaged down a couple other things, some craft paper and some book paper. And then I went ahead and put down this card catalog one. And again, I'm just using my Uhu glue stick to adhere all those down, paper to paper. That Uhu glue stick is magic. It works great, except for when I fail to apply it everywhere. And I just use my scissors to trim off the excess on this card. A lot of times I just tear it, but for this one I decided, since I had so much kind of random paper there, that cutting it was going to be the best thing. Now I have an affinity for the library and books and all of that. I'd love to find an old card catalog case because those are just amazing. But I've not looked up on that. They've all been just too expensive. Using my brayer again, I took a little bit of black paint and just kind of applied that randomly around over top of all of those things. Now, I tried to show you there. I was really excited because one of the return dates on there was February 29th, which is a leap day. It's a pretty rare day to have. So the fact that it was on this actual card return thing made me super excited. Now, again, with my Ooga glue stick, I am sticking down some gold leaf. I guess, again, like I said, I really love the library, so I wanted to elevate this because I love the library. It's something special. So once I got my gold leaf down to make it sparkle and shine and be awesome, I used a paintbrush to just kind of brush off some of the excess. I started with a really, I don't know, rough bristly one, and that was just taking off all my gold leaf. I didn't want that, so I used a softer one. And then I dip into my texture stamps. Oh, sorry about that. Let's hit the camera. And I pick out a couple that have like letters and words and stuff on them because, again, it's the library. It's full of all of the words. So I'm just using those to put a little bit of texture in the background of these cards. And if you see, I'm not even using an acrylic block. I just use the black of the top of my ink pad to do that. I was being real lazy instead of searching for my acrylic block. So, and these little stamps, you don't even notice them on the card, but it added just a little bit of something to it. Now, I found a quote over in my stash, and I cannot remember what it says at this moment, but you'll see it here in a minute. And I really liked it because it had lightning bolts in some of the words, which makes me think of Harry Potter, and which is one of my favorite books. So that, again, worked with the library theme. So, and I am highlighting all of it. This is I believe it's a Bria Reese glitter pen, and I'm just highlighting around my little sticker sheet and the outside of the card, framing it up. And I thought that was going to be it. Oh, I tried to use a gold gel pen just to add a little bit more gold in there, and it wasn't working. The gold leaf was, I don't know, perfect, and adding a little bit more wasn't exactly what I needed. You see me sitting there thinking, I'm trying to figure out what else it is I need. And I wasn't sure, so I grabbed some washi tape. I first looked at some of my tubes of Tim Holtz, and I wanted something else with more words on it. So I had this other, it's kind of aged paper looking off on the side. So I grabbed that and put it down on some little spots on there. Just, kind of looks like book paper or something from the library, in a couple spots on the card. And it did. It gave it a nice aged, old look. And I dug that. And again, I'm thinking, and it finally hit me that what I really needed from the card catalog was a book. So I'm taking just some scraps of paper that are sitting there on my desk, and I'm trying to measure out about, I think it was like 2 inches by 2 inches or so to make a little book. And so I'm just using my scissors here to cut down some other papers in this size. And this really did elevate this card. I don't know, it took me so long to think of it, but it was one of those things. I did leave the card for a little while and come back, and I was like, oh, I need a book. So to make it, I just put those together, kind of putting a floral outside to look like a cover, and I grabbed a stapler and just stapled right, what I figured was about the middle of it. And then I used my ruler to help me give it a little bit of a spine on the outside. But then I'm going to take the, what is that thing? It's like an adhesive runner, just one of those tape runner things that I'm going to put straight on to the back cover of my book and stick it on down. And I play with it a little bit. I did put a little tape over where the staple was on the inside, so it wasn't, I don't know, I didn't get pokey or get undone or anything. And with that, that card is done too. Take a look. Card for this series is card 42, and the theme for it was keychain or charm. And that, I don't know, I struggled with coming up with something at first. I'm a jewelry maker by trade, and I've got all kinds of things. So I kind of just rooted through my stash until I found a charm I knew I probably wouldn't use in my jewelry, which is this. I think it's possibly Tim Holtz. If not Tim Holtz, then maybe another scrapbook element. And it's just a flat backed heart. So I decided that that was what I was going to use as my charm on this card. And to back it up, I just used, again, papers that were on my desk, different book papers, the inside of an envelope with a security envelope in it. And again, I'm gluing all of that down with my Oohoo glue stick. It's handy dandy. And I trimmed away the excess and checked some of the pieces to make sure they were down. Now I'm going to use a technique that I had seen in somebody else's video, and I apologize, I cannot remember whose video it was, because when I saw it I was like, well, that's kind of weird. But then it hit me, I was like, you know, I need to try that at some point. And all I've got is a piece of acetate. This, I think, probably came off the front of like some stamps or something, some of the like acrylic stamps, the cling stamps. Ta-da! That's what they're called. And I sprayed down a little bit of tea dye from Tim Holtz. It's the spray, the distress spray, and put that down with that acetate. And then I grabbed some of my homemade alcohol ink sprays and did the same thing. I just sprayed it onto my acetate there, and I moved it down with a wet paintbrush, and then I get to select exactly where I want that ink to go. It's a really fun technique. I believe I use it in another video later on, but this, I really like that effect, and I need to figure out where I saw it. If you have any idea, let me know. I don't know if it's something they came up with or something somebody else did, but I think it's awesome. From there, I decided I need to alter my charm. So I grabbed my Vintaj Patinas. This is something I use all the time in my jewelry making. And so I just was like, well, I'm using a jewelry making element, so let me go ahead and use some of my other jewelry supplies. And I've got a brown there that I'm putting down. I can't think of the colors, probably rust or clay. And I was trying to get like the charm to look a little rusty, but then I wanted on top of that several different colors. So I'm going to use a blue and I think a red and a green to just add a little color on there. And you see I'm kind of dabbing it off a little with a paper towel. And yeah, there's the red, and in a second I'll do the green. And when I dab it off, some of the brown underneath was coming up too. So this, in the end, all of what I'm doing here doesn't really matter. There's a lot of me layering these colors on, and in the end, what I end up doing works out beautifully, but it's not quite what I envisioned. That happens sometimes. Sometimes it takes a little play to get everything to turn out how you want. So I got those three colors on, and then I decided to get a little bit of the white, which I can't think of what it's called either. I can't think of any of the names of these. But again, they're Vintaj Patinas, and they're for jewelry. It's like a cold enamel. So it's kind of like fingernail polish, but really made for jewelry. So there I put the white over the whole thing. And again, I'm kind of dabbing it off a little bit. Now I'm going to put it aside to dry. It doesn't take real long at all for those patinas to dry. So, and then I knew I had to attach it some way. So I grabbed a little bit of embroidery floss. Now this is a, I guess like an ombre or variegated color where it fades in and out of colors, and it's different shades of blue. And that's what I decided to use, and I put it on my needle and tied a knot in the end. Oh my gosh, I am hitting that camera all kinds of ways today. Now I did sand off the white a little bit with a piece of steel wool, just to kind of, I wanted some of that white in the, what do you call it, like in the recesses of the pendant there. So I grabbed that blue again, and I had a little trouble. It got clogged, and so I may not have been using the same blue. And I am going to add a little bit of the sealer into it to basically make a wash, to water down that blue and just make a little wash to go over the top of that pendant. And I'm just using my finger to rub it out and kind of get it into the recesses where that white had been, and it works out great. And like I said, this doesn't take long at all to dry, so I'm immediately able to I put it aside for a second and figure out where I want it, and just go ahead and start putting it on after I secure some more of my paper there. So I'm doing just three little lines, but I'm not overlapping them. One's in the middle and then two off to the side to give a little interest to the way it's hanging there. And as you see, I've got like a ton of thread, because one of my mantras is I'd rather have too much than not enough, because I hate to run out of something and then figure out how to make it work. So with all that extra, I'm just making some X's, like cross stitch type X's randomly on the card to give it a little texture, give it a little interest. It kind of just adds to the effect a little bit. And I'm just going to do that for a little while. And I know that waste not, want not, but I know that that thread on my desk will probably come, the extra I have, I'll leave on my desk and likely incorporate it somehow into something else. So now I'm just kind of tying it off just a little bit on the back to secure it the way it is. But then I take a big piece of masking tape there and just stick that down. I've seen other artists do it this way, and I think that works beautifully to not have to get an exact knot. So from there, I've got a Pasca Paint Pen, and I am just writing out the words, "Unchain your heart." Now, I think I thought of that while I was tying. I didn't have a plan to put that on there, but while I was playing with the thread there, I think that came up because it was keychain, and since I didn't incorporate keychain into it, I thought, well, the word chain could be in it somehow, and I've got a heart, so I'm just going to write that on there. And that's what I did. And I'm not real great with hand lettering, but I do know that you thicken up your downstrokes and it kind of looks like it's that all the pretty brush lettering. So that's what I did. And then I'm going to add just a little bit more texture to the background, because I had that dark black with the Posca paint pen on there, and there was really no other black on there. So I'm just going to lightly stamp it's just a random, it's got a couple circles on it. I think it was supposed to look like grapes on there, just to give it a little bit of black on there. That's not, so that the Unchain Your Heart's not the only thing. And then that's a Faber-Castell Pit pen, one of the big ones that I am just framing up the card. And I think that's going to be it, guys. I'm so glad you came by and watched my videos. Make sure that you subscribe so you can see what else I have going on, what other things I make and do. And give me a thumbs up if you like this, and I am happy to answer any questions you have. So, again, thank you so much for watching. Bye.